Hey everyone, welcome back. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks. Uh, just, life. And then I also let myself get into my head and it didn't help. So we left off to where I was going to be moving in with my dad. But before we get to this point, I want to give a little bit of backstory because I really haven't talked a whole lot about my dad. Um, there and there's a lot of reasons for that, because my relationship with my dad now is completely different from what it was when I was a kid. So I want to try and tell this side of the story in the best way. One, so it's not, just hateful on my dad, and two, I mean, we do have a relationship now, but we've never actually really talked about any of this. So there's a very good probability you could also see the video, since I do share my videos once I upload them to YouTube on my Facebook page, and both my parents are on my Facebook page. Plus, so is my stepmom. So this will be the first of him actually hearing my side of the story of growing up with him. So I was just trying to find the words to say it because I don't have the best relationship with my dad, especially as a kid. Obviously, I didn't get to, I didn't realize who he was as a dad until I was in kindergarten. So there was that. And then when we did hang out, there was a few things that we did when I was little that I still love doing with my dad now. One of those was fishing, especially my grandpa Paul has passed now, but when I was growing up, it was a lot of my dad and my grandpa Paul and I going fishing. So I have a lot of fond memories of fishing with my dad and grandpa Paul. Another thing that I did a lot with not a lot, but I did with my dad growing up that he taught me was how to shoot. Of course, starting off with small guns and then graduating up to bigger guns. And of course, it was like age appropriate. I mean, it was just one of those things that my dad and I did. And I do greatly appreciate it because he did teach me, obviously, how to use a gun, which taught me the respect for a gun. And so even while playing as a young kid, even with my brother, I understood the importance of a gun, and I wish more parents realized how important that is. Like, seriously, gun safety should be taught at a very young age. At least for me, it seriously, I grew up respecting a gun, and so at no point in time was I ever, even when I had the opportunity to play with a gun, I at least knew what I was dealing with. So I knew it was a weapon, I knew it could hurt me, and so I had great respect for a gun. We'll get off on that side tangent. But I really do love shooting guns. I can't say I'm like a natural, but I'm not terrible at shooting. And mudding. That's still like one of my favorite things to do with my dad. Like, to go mudding. I remember, especially as a young kid, him having his Toyota pickup truck and going out on my Uncle Ronnie's property and throwing me in the bed of the truck and go through every mud pile, and I loved it. Like, he'd be like, "You done? Nope, there's still a clean spot on me. I'm not done." So, I loved mudding with my dad. It's not something we did at all when I lived with him, but those were some of the fun times I had with my dad up to this point, prior to him meeting Jean and then me moving in with him and Jean for my 6th grade year. Now there were some also other things that were not so good with my dad when I hung out with him. Sometimes I did feel like my dad would have rather been anywhere else but with me. There was also I don't know how many times I had been in a bar with my dad, or if it wasn't my dad, he pawned me off onto my Aunt Sherry, and then my Aunt Sherry had me in the bar. And before I could ever reach the bar, I had seen more than enough of a bar. Which was really different for me because being with mom, we never went into a bar. Minus one time while I think I was in second grade, but it was while we were living in the first trailer park. But I played outside because there was a park and it was in our small little town, and mom was getting something from there. I don't remember what she was doing there, but she wasn't drinking. Like, that was not something my mom did with us kids. Like, she didn't drink, she didn't socialize, she didn't do anything. In fact, my mom really didn't even date. I mean, between Tim and mom meeting Kayla's dad, I don't remember really any boyfriends in there. There was her best friend Jake. I know when I got older, excuse me, I know she had dated him, but that was her best friend, so her hanging out with him was nothing unusual. And then there was her best friend Diane too, that I think that was her name. I might have been wrong on the name, but those are the only people who ever really came around when we were little, because mom didn't go anywhere. We didn't do anything. Mom was a homebody, straight up homebody. But I was familiar with the bar thanks to my dad. I'd been in several of them. In fact, one time while being with my Aunt Sherry, while she was watching me, I was actually in second grade when this happened. Her car got broken into while we were at a bar, and all of my stuff got stolen. Yeah, little kid stuff, second grader. Because I was staying the night at her place, so all my stuff was with me in her car. So my schoolwork that I had, all my clothes, my jacket. Well, no, I think the jacket was inside, but I was really upset because my school stuff got stolen, because it was really embarrassing going to school and trying to explain to my teachers why I needed all new stuff because it was stolen while at a bar with my aunt. I wasn't excited about that, couldn't you tell? So up to this point of me moving into my dad, I have mixed feelings as far as my relationship with my dad. I love my dad, and I had wished we had the relationship that was like, on TV, your typical like father-daughter loving relationship, being a daddy's little girl, always calling daddy. Not me and my dad. I wanted it, but that's just not how our relationship developed at all. And I get why some of it is, and that's why Midge is always Midge to me. She really did, at a young age, make me feel like I was a mistake, and it bled through into my dad's relationship with me. And I know it was a lot her. My grandpa Paul did have some part of that when I was really young, but he apologized to me. It was either second or third grade. I think it was third grade, actually. Grandpa Paul had pulled me aside while I was at his house. I was having a conversation and apologized to me for ever feeling like I was a mistake. Yeah, this was a grown man who apologized to me for that, and I forget how the conversation started. I know it was something about me talking about Midge, and how, because I could talk to Grandpa Paul way easier than I could ever talk to Midge, and I had made some sort of comment like that to Grandpa Paul, and that had brought on the conversation where he apologized to me for that, forever thinking that that I was a mistake, that I had ruined my dad's life. And I always thought it was odd, because I was like, how did I ruin my dad's life? And I still, to this day, how did I ruin my dad's life? Because he graduated high school. My mom dropped out. He went on to college. Sorry, Dad. But I don't know how I messed it up. And so that's why Midge will always just be Midge to me. And that was at a very young age that I realized that. And I also realized it too, even when I lived with my dad and after, like, with other things. Like, the way Midge treated my cousins compared to me it was different. She very much favored my cousin Jessica, and when it came to CJ and Abraham, like, it was just, I could feel the difference. Can't really explain it because I don't really have the words to explain it. It was just something I could feel. And so I never really wanted to spend time with her because why? Why spend time with someone who you could just feel really just didn't want you around? At least that's just how I felt. Maybe she didn't want to make me feel that way. I don't know. But that's just how I felt. Up to this point, my parents have not badmouthed each other at all. Mom has, for us kids, like, she always spoke lovingly to us. Like, there was nothing we couldn't do, which was definitely true for my brother. Ugh, it was so frustrating to have a younger brother who could outdo you in everything. He was smarter in math, smarter in reading. He learned how to ride a bike without training wheels before I did. I mean, that kid did everything before I did. I mean, I knew I wasn't dumb, but it did suck knowing that my brother could do my math and reading homework better than I could and faster than I could. At a young age. I know distinctly being in second grade and my brother understanding math better than me. It was frustrating. I mean, like, I didn't think I was dumb because I got it. I mean, it didn't come so quickly to me like it did my brother. My brother, like, there was just so many things that kid could just pick up in an instant. It was like, how? What? But it was what it was. So, and the reason why this is all very important is because it all changes when I live with my dad. I was very happy with life. I didn't feel like I was dumb. I wasn't, like, arrogant either. Like, I didn't think I was the prettiest girl in the world. I mean, granted, like, 5th grade was spectacular with moving and becoming instantly popular. Like, that was the one and only time that ever happened in my life, and it was amazing, but like, I didn't have an ego about myself. Like, I didn't stand in front of a mirror like my brother, flexing and posing in front of mirrors. I didn't do any of that, right? But I didn't feel insecure. And I didn't feel dumb. But the 2.5 years I lived with my dad was probably the dumbest decision I ever made. Because the being with my dad is where I developed all my anger issues. It is where I went into a deep depression for the first, like, that's where my depression truly started. My insecurities with food. Oh yeah, that one. I still deal with that one. And that's why this is going to be really hard to talk about. Because I can boil a lot of my issues down to where did they all start. And it was when I moved in with my dad. When I met Gene. Everything changed. My dad, up to this point, had never spoken really down to me. He was stern with me. Yeah, and he didn't understand my bladder issues, so he was punishing me for something that wasn't even my fault. But I still didn't hate my dad. I mean, I knew whenever he punished me, I knew it was something I didn't deserve. But that was because mom and I had already talked about that. Plus, I mean, I kind of already knew. Like, some of it just wasn't my fault. Because, there's just psychological issues you're going to have when you've been sexually assaulted. It's just, it is what it is. But I didn't harbor hatred for my dad. For him punish me on that. I did develop a hatred for him after living with him. And we'll have to get into that into another video. But I am going to end this video on, again, notating my relationship with my dad has changed. Granted, if he ever watches this, we'll probably have some things to talk about now, but but that's why it's really hard, is because I did figure out where my anger issues developed and where a lot of stuff developed and why. And now I'm just trying to work through them. So, with that being said, hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you in the next video.